How to use a miter saw. Before I actually use a miter saw, there are 3 points of inspection that I will address. I will check the housing, I will check the cord, and I will check the blade. I'm going to check the housing to make sure there's no cracks or missing pieces in it. I'm going to check the cord, especially focus on the ends. Run my hands down the length of the cord. Make sure there's no tears or frays. I'm also going to check the blade to make sure it is not dull, chipped, broken, missing too many of these little carbide teeth. Now I'm ready to use it. I'm going to start by ensuring I have my PP on, my glasses, my pants and my shoes. Make sure it's unplugged. Trigger lock's not engaged. Just flip the trigger a couple times. Piece of material I want to cut on. I'm going to make a cut for a 1 foot piece. Take my tape measure and make a mark on either side of the 1 foot mark. Unlike skill saw and a jigsaw recip saw, you do not have to draw a square line across with a speed square in order to properly use a miter saw. It actually locks in place at the angle, in this sense, no angle, or any desired angle you want to use. If I was going to cut at a miter, I would not put my mark in the middle of the board. I'd put my mark on one end of the board. And if I got ready to cut, I'd end up with a cut in that direction. You plug your saw in now. When using a miter saw, you need to really focus on making sure your material is flat and up against the fence. If you have taller material, the fence will adjust. It will also move back out of the way in case you're doing a bevel cut, that it won't interfere with the blade. As before, you need to make sure you remember what side is my piece. So there's the mark where I want to cut the 1 foot board. This is my waist side. So when I do the cut, I'm going to cut down that side of the line. The blade is barely going to touch the line and take it out, because I want to just stop as accurately as I can on this 1 foot. Because in the workshop, we get a tolerance of plus or minus 1/8 inch. That means you can be 1/8 short of 1 foot, or you can be 1/8 long of 1 foot. The actual thickness of the blade that you use is 1/8. I'm going to bring the blade down, use my left hand to move the piece of wood back and forth, align it with the mark where I want to cut. Then I'm going to secure it with my left hand. I'm going to bring the blade up. I'm going to pull and hold the trigger till the motor comes up to speed. Then I'm going to actually pull. I usually pull it forward just slightly. Start all the way down, and as I cut, once I cut all the way down into the kerf tray here, then I'll push the blade back and complete all the way through. I'm going to release the trigger, and I'm going to hold this handle down until the blade completely stops spinning. Then I'll raise it up. Because if you don't, what happens when the blade starts spinning, it'll tend to snatch the piece of wood and snatch the wood up and snatch your hand into the blade. And it also makes a pinging sound if you do that, and I'll know that you did it wrong. Align it, get it where I want it, pull it slightly forward, bring it up to speed. Push it to the rear, release the trigger, hold, wait till the blade completely stops, and bring it up. And you can see that this piece is dead on 1 foot or 12 inches. Now that I'm finished with the cut, I'll remove my waste. If you have little bitty pieces, throw them into the tray behind it in the dust catcher, and it'll collect in the back. If you have bigger pieces shorter than your hand, throw them in a trash can. Anything longer than that goes to the wood storage over there. So unplug it. Now that I've finished, there's 3 steps of maintenance that I'm going to do. These miter saws generate a lot of sawdust, so I will pretty consistently blow off the back dust or remove any chips from out of this area, putting it into the dust collector, making sure it's clean and it's dry. And I'm also going to check the blade, depending on what I cut through, to make sure it's not, we'll look at it to make sure it's not warped, make sure it's not loose, and make sure I haven't broke off any of the teeth. These little carbide teeth are actually welded in place, and they will come off. Put it down in travel lock, slide it forward. Take my cord, wrap it around the motor, and secure the loose end. This is how to use a miter saw. Now I want you to video yourself going through all the processes. Show me doing a cut at 1 foot on a 2x4. Then show me your accuracy with a tape measure. Upload that back to Google Classroom with the safety and inspection and maintenance points.